and good morning everyone. I hope everyone is having a good day and is perfectly fine today. Before I start with my speech, I would like to ask a few questions. Did anyone use their sunscreen today? And if you did you reapply your sunscreen throughout the day? I would assume that most of us did not use our sunscreen today, and that is something that I want to highlight. Now, I want everyone to close their eyes and try to visualize this story. Imagine you are walking through the desert with no sun protection at all, but the sun is right above your head. The view may be pleasant, but now you are soaking wet with your own sweat due to it being very hot. However, despite the hot weather, does anyone actually care what may happen to your skin? The rashes, burns, and even scarrings are usually not even cared of. So hi, I'm IQMAL, someone who has suffered a lot of skin damage due to sunscreen use neglect and regrets not applying them as part of my daily habit. Sunscreen, which is defined as substances that protect our skin from the harmful UV rays, should be a necessity for everyone, but now it is part of the essential things. So here I am trying to enlighten every single one of you in regards to the consequences of sunscreen use neglect and the reason behind this happening. Although there is a rise in awareness in regards to sunscreen usage among the community, it is still insufficient to consider that everyone understands and is packed with the knowledge of why we have to use sunscreen as part of our daily habit. Now, let's have a look at several graphs that can prove this statement. Firstly, we have this graph, and we can extract two major pieces of information from it. One is that the highest percentage of sunscreen use among adults is never, while the lowest is always. And that is a worrying thing, as how could we expect the younger kids to use them if we ourselves don't practice them? Secondly, we can see that men tend to neglect sunscreen usage more than women, and that should be thoroughly discussed later. Then we have this graph that compares the types of sun protection practices, and I want every single one of you to take a guess. Which practice is mostly not being carried out? If you guess sunscreen application, you are definitely right. But there is something that I pondered about. Why don't people care about using sunscreen? And that is something that I will be focusing on. The major reason of why people tend not to use sunscreen is due to society's own stigmas and perceptions. When we talk about sunscreen, most of us would consider it as a cosmetic product rather than a health essential. And that is part of the reason why the majority of men are scared of applying sunscreen, as they think that they are using makeups, which is not true at all. This is even worse when the public tends to associate sunscreen use among men with being non-masculine, which doesn't even make sense, as we are all trying to protect our skin from damages. And how is that non-masculine? Next, the lack of sunscreen application practice among the community can also be due to the price being unreasonable, and some of it is even expensive. As someone who loves to explore a lot of sunscreen, I somehow agree with this statement, as some sunscreen products can have a ridiculous price that I think does not even make sense. How could something that should be considered a compulsory essential not be easily afforded by everyone? It is also irrational that we get only a small amount of product for something that is expensive. Thus, I would say that I could understand why the majority of people neglect sunscreen usage, but there are still consequences from that. For every action, comes along its consequences, and this applies the same to sunscreen, as when we neglect sunscreen usage, then comes along all the bad effects. The first effect to be highlighted is higher risk of getting skin cancer. The most significant cause of skin cancer is due to excessive exposure to high UV rays in sunlight, but using sunscreen should be ample enough to protect our skin from the damage. However, the lack of sunscreen application practice among the community couldn't prevent the rise in skin cancer, but instead, the skin directly receives the high UV rays, which then further damage the DNA in our body. Using sunscreen could prevent the risk of getting skin cancer by at least 50%. It is a statement by the Skin Cancer Foundation in its article in 2022, and this should make you confident enough to not forget to apply your sunscreen as part of your daily habits as a protective measure against skin cancer. Other than that, we should also highlight the possible premature aging and abnormal wrinkles formation as one of the major consequences of sunscreen use neglect. Now, I want every single one of us to digest this picture of this screenshot for a few seconds. Can you detect any differences between the two pictures? Can you take a guess at which one of them actually uses sunscreen as part of their daily habits? Yes, the one in the green is the one who actually uses sunscreen as part of their daily habits, and that should highlight the function of sunscreen as our skin protector. Sunscreen you neglect unfortunately damages our skin collagens, and I'm 100% sure that none of us would want that to be happening. Even better, most dermatologists agree that sunscreen is the best anti-aging product that you can look for, and this should move you to stop spending all your money on those expensive anti-aging serums, but then you should invest your money for a good sunscreen. As we continue to live our lives, we should value and cherish every single thing that we have. This should include taking care of our own bodies, and that should include using sunscreen as part of your routine to protect our skin from all the damage that could possibly occur. All those consequences mentioned before should get you to think for yourselves regarding the importance of sunscreen application. Besides that, having a good sunscreen should be a necessity for everyone, not a privilege, though I understand how it can be troublesome for some people to have access to it. Thus, I would like to recommend a few sunscreens that I personally like, and they are also quite affordable. Biore UV Barrier Me, Skin Aqua UV Moisture Milk, and Kose Suncut UV Milk are the sunscreens that help so much in protecting my skin. But I would also like to include several other ways to protect the skin for those who lack the advantage to get sunscreen, which is to always use long sleeve clothing to prevent direct contact with the UV rays. Don't forget, guard your glow, shield your skin. Thank you.